Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Rectified Podcast. Today's guest is Jay Davis, founder of PillowCube. If you're wondering what PillowCube is, it's a pillow that's specifically designed for side sleepers. Jay, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Jay, nowadays there are a lot of studies about the importance of sleep. Experts are talking about this on podcasts, scientific reviews, etc. A lot of products have been created, sleep trackers, blankets, Were you influenced by all of this when you created the pillow?
I definitely was aware of a lot of things. I had done some work for different people in the industry through my agency, but it wasn't something that I don't know, I didn't have some grand design of let's go take over the sleep industry or anything like that. It was just
Yeah.
difficult for me to find a pillow that worked for me. And so once I found a solution that I really liked, I was like, oh, that's really awesome. And we should launch this. So
Did you see a lot of people who are welcoming this idea, a lot of people who were suffering from this?
yeah, so when I first kind of thought about it, I had the idea or something like the idea for quite a while and had been thinking about how can you create a pillow that just gives more support. And then I had some samples of foam that I put together one day and kind of laid on it. It was cube shaped. It was 12 by 12 by 6. And I was just like, oh, that's a really great pillow, but it doesn't look like a pillow. And so there was definitely people who were like, that's weird. That's kind of a strange idea. It doesn't look like anything I've ever seen before, but
Yeah.
it resonated with people. And there was something about it that was really interesting. So,
All right. That's pretty cool. I'm very curious. Did you ever track the difference? All those trackers. I'm not going to name
yeah.
the brand. Did you ever track if you sleep with or without? It's just a curious question.
Yes, we have people who are very much into kind of the sleep hacking kind of world, and they show that it really helps them and helps them sleep better. For me, it was much more just I just saw a major marked difference between sleeping with and without the pillow. And so when I slept with it, I was just much more rested, felt way better in the morning. So
All right, and you have all the information from all these sleep trackers?
yeah, there's tons of people who use the product and who track everything about their sleep and really keep track of every little metric. So it's pretty wild.
Pretty interesting. Jay, I always ask this question because a lot of new companies, new brands suffer from this. I don't know in your situation. They have a hard time selling it to people who are not their family or friend at the beginning. So who was the first person who bought this pillow who was not a family or friend?
Yeah, so I think one of the benefits I had is I started an agency specifically focused on doing video marketing and really telling those kind of stories through video. And so we created a really fun advertisement, which is our original advertisement. And that was kind of the first thing we used to sell people who are not family and friends. And we launched it on Kickstarter and it did really well. And so, but yeah, I think that's a natural problem for a lot of entrepreneurs. It's hard to
Yeah.
kind of take that story and condense it in a way that makes it easy for someone who's not your family or friend to understand it and want to buy it.
And reach the right people, the people like the side sleepers in
Yeah.
your situation,
Yep.
for example. So that video you created, is it like a long form video or is it like shorter TikTok style videos? Like how did you go with it?
Yeah, so we have several different long form videos that have worked really well. So that first one was, I think, like 3.5 minutes long. So it was pretty long, but did a great job of just kind of walking people through the value proposition and why we were different, why they should care. And so it was really great. It really helped us stand out from everybody else.
Yeah. And you do it as in paid ads, or is it like organic? You just put it on some platform? Like how do you promote this? How do you
No,
make
yeah.
people find you?
Yeah, so we run paid ads. I think that's really kind of the best way nowadays. It's pretty hard to go organically viral. And so yeah, we've run a lot of paid ads, run a lot of people to our website and focus on how to drive that growth.
Organic is working, but you need to produce like a lot of videos, like a large volume. I see,
Yeah.
that's what I'm seeing. And then see what sticks, or reach the maximum number of people and then find your ideal customer. But in terms of paid ads, and if you really know, who you're targeting and you have your messaging right, which is something that you know how to do, then it's easier. But if someone comes like out of the blue and they're like, yeah, let's just boost this post or something like that, it just won't work for them. So in your experience, this is the way that's like kickstarting everything for a new brand. Like if you have the funds, obviously.
Yeah, my focus is always kind of right out the gate to focus on product and like, have we nailed the
Mm,
solution? Is it something that people really love and care about? Is it something that's disrupting kind of the old way of doing things? And then
yeah.
is it demonstrable how we solve the problem?
hmm Another issue that smaller companies face is, having limited funds. Like in your situation, you have other businesses, you probably, have other income streams, so you're not really relying on the Pillow Cube from the beginning. But many, direct to consumer brand founders have this issue. What is your advice for them to go around this and to spread the word to the maximum number of people?
Yeah, so I would say similar to kind of how I approached it. I was working my agency, owned the agency, and when we started PillowCube, we just decided we're not going to pay ourselves, we're not going to pull money out of it. We're just going to really let it kind of do its thing, grow naturally. We didn't raise money. It was pretty bootstrapped. We put in some of our own money, but not much. And so we just kind of let it do its thing. So I would recommend that to a lot of people. I think a lot of people have an idea and they think that they have to jump into it
Yeah.
immediately from day one by themselves full time. And usually what I tell people is like, hey, you can run this thing as a side hustle. First, see if people want it. See if people love the product, see if they're passionate about it. You don't have to wait 5 years to go all in. A year into Pillow Cube, I was full time. But for that first
hmm
year, we just really let the product kind of naturally or grow and let people really kind of see that the product was amazing, that it made a difference in their life. We launched a new version of the product that was based on customer feedback. And so I think those things are really important. It's really helpful to have, just those opportunities to
Mm.
let it grow without all the pressure of like, hey, I have to make enough money to pay myself.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really difficult for a brand to handle two or three people that it has to pay full time from day one. So
Exactly. I've seen that a lot. I've had, I interview a lot of people here on the podcast who are founders, and many of them like go all in, and many of them are more like you. They manage their risk, they keep their jobs or whatever they're doing, and then they test out the product. So I find it pretty interesting to see what goes on in the minds of all of these entrepreneurs. At what point do you advise people to actually start putting the money on ads, on like all of these things? Like you create the product, maybe you have prototype, like a little bit of inventory, and you want to test it out and sell. How to go after that?
yeah, so once you've kind of figured out some of those things, I think usually it's good to have a second product, some other SKUs, especially if you were kind of a single hero product from the beginning.
Mm,
I think once you have some of that dialed in, you have some of that organic kind of natural growth of people, word of mouth, people talking to each other. Once that happens, I would usually say like not always, but usually once people are doing 1 million to 2 million a year, you start to be able to
yeah,
have a little more resources. So
yeah,
that might sound like a lot, but it's really not that much if you're in the product world. Doing a million
yeah,
or two a year, you're doing
yeah.
100,000 a month, 200,000 a month. So I would say once you hit that point, it's time to really start focusing on like, okay, how do we dial this up? How do
Mm,
we kind of take it to the next level? And
yeah.
usually, from a strategic standpoint, I recommend looking at, is there something in the market we're not addressing with our current product? And is there a different product or another product we can add? Or are we just not reaching enough people? And that's usually a key question is sometimes you're just not reaching nearly enough people and not putting nearly enough people in your funnel.
Mm, so true. It's very interesting what you said about having a different SKU that's ready. There are a lot of people who argue with or against this, and mainly they speak about like if you're selling like more than 1 million, then you can start thinking about introducing new products. And we have so many brands who only do one product until they're making seven figures in sales. Is that also your mark to introducing a new product, or is you think it's okay to do it before even reaching the seven figures?
Yeah, I think it's probably, I don't know that I have a hard and fast rule. Kind of what I usually look at is, it's a mixture of things of, especially because we focus on ads pretty quick. Like we
Mm,
start pretty early with ads. And so if we're having challenges with scaling spend and maintaining efficiency, usually I start to look at like, is it that there aren't enough people who want it at this price? Maybe it's a smaller niche. I think that's the hardest thing to kind of think about as a
mm,
founder is, when do I go out into other categories? When do I go into just having more SKUs? For us, our original pillow was 12 by 12 by 6
mm,
or 5, whatever thickness people wanted. But over time, we started to talk to customers, and customers like, I really wish I could roll from side to side on it. So I think probably my overarching advice is like, talk to your customers. It's really easy to
yeah.
talk to other, agencies or consultants who kind of
Hmm.
have these hard and fast rules. And I'm always like, just go talk to your customers, ask them how they're enjoying the product. What would they change? What would they like you to see you do? Stay really close to them. So
Yeah. Totally agree. I've talked to people who are barely like they're startups and they're barely making 100,000, maybe a little less even per year. I'm not talking per month.
yeah,
And they're like, "Oh my god, I want to launch my new collection," or "Oh my god, I want to do, let's say, shoes." I had a person who creates shoes for women and for kids, and she had like all these designs, and I'm like, what are you doing? Can you even produce that? Like,
yeah,
some people just don't get past that. They just think like, they want to mimic the bigger brands who keep launching new collections all the time, but it's just impossible, and they get stuck into this thing. So I do believe that it's a good idea to, let's say, like you did, you have one pillow, but then, oh, you listened to your audience and this is what they want. So you created something for them instead of creating everything that you have in your mind. So you sort of managed that thing.
I totally agree. I think one of the things that's hard as an entrepreneur and something you really have to avoid is kind of like this silver bullet mentality of, there's always just like some simple solution to your problems. And I think that's what's really difficult about entrepreneurship is, it's usually not that simple. There's usually like several different pieces. So exactly like you're saying, sometimes people get stuck in this thinking of like, okay, we just need to launch another product and that'll be our growth. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, no, you're really just not doing a good or doing a good job of marketing your existing product. Like, that's the real problem right now. So you need to do the
Hmm.
hard work of marketing that existing product. Sometimes when you continue to scale and grow, you do hit a point where it's like, okay, we need to add some other things. We have a lot of people coming to the website who are coming to the website and not seeing a solution to their problem. And so they're leaving. And so we could
Yeah.
make more money. But I agree that I think a lot of times, especially early entrepreneurs, in that first, from when they're going from 0 to 10 million a year, they often fall into this trap of like just constantly launching new products. And they never really spend the time to fully plant and harvest
Yeah.
the products that they do have.
Yeah. And it's also draining financially because you keep pumping money into your inventory, you're buying new things,
Yeah.
and sometimes some products are left out, nobody's buying them, and then you're creating new ones, and it's a whole it's a whole other issue that we're not talking about today.
Yeah.
What is your opinion, or do you have this in any of your companies, getting VCs, angel investors, all of those people to invest in your brand or your company?
Yeah, so we've had some angels invest, not a lot, but we've had some smaller angel investments, and we love working with those angels. They're great. It's great having those kind of partners. We haven't taken VC money in any of our brands. I think a lot of my thinking is, I think the danger and the thing you got to be really careful with, if you're doing consumer products, is too many consumer companies in the past 5 years took angel, not even angel, took VC money, took
Yeah.
private equity money, and then thought that the way to build their company was similar to a tech company. So They
Mm.
raised hundreds of millions of dollars. They hired thousands and thousands of people. And then now, as we're seeing in the news, a lot of those brands who even IPO'd and we have public information
Yeah.
are just doing horribly. They're losing tons of money. And I think that's comes from the approach and kind of the paradigm of we're raising all this VC money and the VCs are pushing us to build our company like a tech company, but we're not a tech company, we're a consumer company. And so I think that's something that like I don't think VC is bad, but I would be very careful with if you're in the
Mm.
consumer product space.
Yeah.
We're not tech companies. You can't hire 3,000 people. You don't need that many people.
Yeah.
The founders I'm most impressed with are the founders who are doing 100 million a year, 200, 500 billion dollars a year, and they have very very lean teams. I know
Mm.
of founders who are doing 250 million a year with 30, 40 people. And I think that's a shift that we need to have in consumer, which is you don't need to have this massive team. You can be running a I know someone who has a $12 million a year brand, and it's just him and one other person. And I think you have to have that approach
Yeah.
of we don't need to hire 50,000
Mm.
people and build these
Yes.
companies like how we did 50 years ago.
Back in the days, exactly.
Yeah.
You have all the tools also, the automations, things that
Yep.
can also help you. There's this misconception in like everywhere. Entrepreneurs need to defend themselves, because they're not in the corporate world and in their environment, they need to defend themselves that they made things happen. And then their environment or family or friends, they're like, oh, how many people are you employing? Like, I get that a lot. I don't know
Yeah.
if you get that question a lot.
Totally.
Like, how many people do you have on your team? And if I say, I don't know, five, and they're like, oh, I manage 100 people, something like that. And I'm like,
Yep.
okay, it's not about your 100 people, it's about the results that you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you encounter that too? I feel like we all fall into this trap, whether it's service or product that we're selling.
Totally. No, it's absolutely right. I think that's you get into this world and you start meeting with other founders, owners, CEOs, and you realize how many things are done because of ego,
Mm.
because it's an ego thing of like, I have 1,000 employees. So my question is always, how much do you make in revenue per employee?
Yeah.
So that's the number that impresses me. When I meet people who are like, I make $10 million in revenue per employee. So I have, you can have someone who has 50 employees and they do 500 million a year. That's what I'm impressed by. Not
Mm.
someone who does 600 million a year and has 4,000 employees or 3,000 employees because it's just not sustainable in the
Yeah,
product world. And you don't need all those people.
exactly.
I have friends who work at $600 million a year brands and have thousands of employees, and they talk about how they just all sit around and like they don't have enough to do, they're bored, and then eventually there's layoffs. And so I think that's something that a lot of the new entrepreneurs can really embrace is this idea of like we've
Mm.
invented email and Slack and all these things to make us
Yeah,
more efficient. Let's actually
exactly.
embrace the idea of them making us more efficient and not building companies like it's the 1980s
Yeah.
and needing thousands and thousands of employees just to run $100 million company.
Yeah. I mean, we don't want people to be unemployed, but also we want to keep the profitability going.
Yeah.
Jay, we're towards the end of this podcast episode, and I usually like to ask my guests a series of 3 questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So, how would your friends describe what you do for a living?
I think most of my friends would probably describe me as a serial entrepreneur
Okay, in a good way or in a bad way?
in a good way. Yeah.
All right.
It
Because
can be a bad.
that can be positive and negative,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing and he keeps opening this company. So it's a good thing. So what is one thing that one of your programs or let's say your product did for a client that you didn't expect?
Oh, that's a good question. So, probably one of them that's really fun is like every Christmas when we sell a lot of stair slides. We have a lot of stair slide. That's one of the other companies we own is a
Yeah.
toy company called Stair Slide. And it's always fun to see all the parents playing on it. We kind of expect the kids to play on it, but it's always, the videos of
Yeah.
parents and then dads getting hurt because they're being idiots. And it's kind of funny. So,
Not surprised because I do the same with my niece and nephew. I play with their with their game.
yeah.
The third question, is there a book that changed your life that you would recommend to our audience?
Ooh. I think as an entrepreneur, probably the book that's been most impactful for me is Rocket Fuel. So it describes kind of the relationship between the usually the founding team, and there's usually a visionary as one
Mm,
of the founders, and there's usually an integrator as one of the founders. And I think understanding that's been so helpful for my career, just understanding the two of those. So
mm. All right. All right. So, Jay, tell us, where can we find your products and how can our audience connect with you?
yeah, so you can connect with me. My personal Instagram's J Nelson Davis, and then our brands are Creatively is our agency, and then we have Pillow Cube, Stair Slide, and Cold Case Ice Cream. And you can Google any of those and find our socials and check out some of our cool products.
We'll definitely link to all of that in the description of this podcast. Thank you, Jay, for being a guest. And to all the listeners, I'll be back next week with a new episode.